Hi everyone, this is Tony Karna, the Genealogy Coordinator at the Schaumburg Township District Library. Welcome to another one of my screencasts. One of the things that I wanted to share with you, because it's such an important tool for what I do at the library, is to simply make you more familiar with my blog that I author on behalf of the library for Genealogy Matters. And one of the things that we're going to get to when we start going over it is three things I want to accomplish with the screencast, and that is to make you familiar with the blog itself, and that is through component parts of it, such as the home page, pages section, and the right sidebar contents. But first off, you may be asking very simply, well, where is the blog? How do I get to it? And what I'm doing is I'm directing you basically to the web address of our own library up here, schaumburglibrary.org. Once you get to that main website page, then just look down below for one of the tabs. It says Research and Genealogy. Click on that. You might have to scroll down depending on the screen size, but you're going to see this nice little simple pictorial icon over here that will get you to my blog. So all you have to do at this point is click on that address or on the blog icon. The blog is really hosted by WordPress.com, and you can see here's the address of the blog up here. So again, one of the things that I want to start with when you get to my blog is this is basically what it looks like when you go to find and see what the most recent posting has been that I have published out there. And in this particular case, it's simply letting you know that another genealogical society in our area is having their own program coming up shortly on November 1st. I'll have some information there just describing what it is, where it is, so on and so forth. But this basically is considered the home page of the blog. And if you were to just scroll down through that blog post, it would be followed by the very next previous post that was done on that, and so on and so forth. So this is pretty simple and straightforward once you get to the basics of my blog location. The next thing I want to make you aware of is this area up here that you see. This is considered the pages area of the blog. And as you can see, I've got quite a few individual links up here that will get you to various component pieces of information regarding the blog. So I thought what I would do is I would just basically, on a short basis here, not too lengthy in description, but again, I want you to be aware of the resources and the information you can get by perusing through these various pages that are part of the blog. The About page, pretty straightforward. This is the place where it will give you background information about really what the purpose of the blog is, why I'm doing it, what I hope to accomplish by doing this. So it's sort of a, just a statement of this is what the blog is all about. Pretty straightforward. One of the other components of the pages part of the blog is I do happen to have here usually, and it's almost always when I'm ready to complete the scheduling of it, but here's where for this various year you can find all of the programs that we're anticipating having for our genealogy program, which occurs on the second Tuesday evening of every month. If you click on that, it opens it up. You want to scroll down again a little bit. But basically, it tells you the location of where our programs are held, the time when the programs start, when we usually try to target ending the programs by. And then the most important part of the information here is you're going to get a month by month, date by date, program title, presenter title, and who is actually making the presentation for that program. We generally have about 8 speaker programs a year, and the other 4 months of the year in the months of March, June, September, and December. We don't have speakers. We do have our program, but we generally use those time periods to have breakout groups where people work together, usually in areas of ethnic interest. Like we'll have a Polish group, German group, Irish group, Scandinavian group, Italian group, and I also have a beginners group that I lead for that session. So good current information here for anybody that wants to take a look at that. And again, one of the new other pages on the blog is called the previous programs. And as you can see, it goes back quite a lot in time, number of years. Let me open that up for you. This is where I've provided a history of all of the various programs we've had over and above our current year's programs. Again, goes chronologically backwards in year, and then within year it does go chronologically within month. But I think this is a good idea to share with anyone because you can peruse this area looking for various topics that we've had. You could look for individual speakers, so on and so forth. But it just rounds out not only just providing you with a current year's programs, but a history of our previous year's programs for you to take a look at. Next link up here, it's called Favorite Links. Trust me, I am not a Cindy Ingles. Cindy Ingles is the founder and current creator of Cindy's List, where you can find tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of genealogical links. I'm at a much lower level, numerically speaking, than the number that Cindy provides, but nonetheless, I do try to highlight what I considered my favorite links, ones that I've come across, links that have been suggested to me by readers of the blog is that they have found them very helpful in their research. And I have these sort of organized in a very loosely subject-oriented manner. So they're not hard and fast in terms of the categories I have. But I do have a variety of them. We got the DNAs we're seeing now. I recently posted links directly to our local family history centers. Myself being a blog writer, I am highlighting a lot of blogs from other creators that are both local, national, and you name it. But reading blogs on genealogy can really be helpful to you. So I strongly suggest you might want to take a look at that. But as you can see, a variety of all kinds of different links have to a variety of topics and subjects. So again, something you may want to take a look at that. The next major thing, I'm just going to skip this one here. It's just a image of one of our flyers that we have. Not much to show you there. Highlight this area here called Poll Archives. Click on that. One of the things I get into the blog is I literally have a simple kind of a survey question or something, and it varies by topic. And here's the poll archives, but on the right side here, you can see what I actually currently have in my blog question that I'm asking, which says, has your genealogy research uncovered any famous or infamous ancestors? Yes or no? You can simply vote here. You would highlight a yes vote, highlight a no, click the vote, and your vote is registered. You can see the vote results going on as they're being happening right now. But here, I think, is a place for interest on a variety of questions I've asked. But you're going to be able to scroll down, and I've got about 17 previously highlighted surveys that I've done. So you may want to browse through that. It shows you the results, number of votes that were cast, what the percentage differences were, what the questions were that were being asked in the poll. So this is a historical thing, and I think it's also pretty good, I guess, to sort of, you may have asked yourself some of these questions. And so on a small scale, unscientifically, I do present a variety of these polls over here for you to certainly take a look at. Surnames being searched. Let me click on that. Scroll down. This is basically a spreadsheet that I have embedded in here that provides you with a variety of surnames that are being searched by participants in our programs that we have. So I thought I would show you that. It's basically a spreadsheet, shows the last name, surname that's being searched, by who it's being searched, what their name is, if they have an email address for you to contact them. And even at a very descriptive level, I try to provide some geographic area that they are associated with that name. If you were to come across a name that might look promising to you, maybe it's a match, you might even have someone that you can contact. That have given me their names up there have given me permission to post them up there, knowing that their email address is going to be in that list up there. So that can be very helpful for researchers across the country, local to our area, wherever, looking for surnames that are being searched. Next big interesting page I have up here, it's a National Archives Research Aids page. Again, scroll down. I did have a speaker a few years ago who volunteers at the National Archives, the Great Lakes National Archives in Chicago. And she was kind enough to bring to me a variety of some of the forms that they have there. And I was able to scan them, create them as PDFs, and incorporate them into this blog page up here. And as you can see, there's a significant variety of the kinds of forms related to the National Archives research that you can do for genealogy, that you can actually access those forms here, look to them, print them up. And if some of them can be submitted, you can make copies of them and then obviously submit them to the National Archives. So that's another major resource of information at the site. The next page I've got up here, it's called a Calendar of Local Genealogy Events. This is one of the most recent ones I've posted up here and created. What this basically is, it includes an embedded Google Calendar. This out there. You can look at it in a variety of views on a week basis, agenda basis. The month basis will give visual overview. You can click on individual component parts, although where sometimes I'm a little bit more prefer to look at it through agenda view, because what you'll get from this is a lengthier I guess box that you can read the full description in terms of like who is offering this program, whereas what you saw in the month view, you couldn't really get a gauge of it. You'd have to click on those links anyhow. But this view, you know, information on the variety of programs that are coming up in our local area, other libraries, other genealogical societies, other genealogical groups, calendar information I've gone out on the internet and looked for and was able to incorporate into this. So this is something that's probably well worth checking out, taking a look at. As an example, like here's one coming up Thursday, November 6th. Indian Trails Public Library has offering a genealogy program, starts at 3 p.m. You can click on that link to open it up. You'll get further information that I've incorporated. The nice thing I like about the Google Map, you can actually click on the map link, which will get you to a Google version of where the location is for the library. So that's a very nice tool that you can actually use if you're not familiar with the library. So that's a very nice, nice helpful tool that Google makes available through a description of it. You can certainly just click on it, scroll through it. More details, if you look at this here, when you click on more details, you'll be able to access the links that are embedded in the description, which will get you to the Indian Trails Public Library here, or a genealogy and you can then take a look and become familiar with that organization's materials that they also have. So it's well worth looking at that. I'll go back to the month view. Again, as you can see here, it looks a little congested, but this is just the nature of the Google Calendar. And you can go forward looking for upcoming events. I even like the idea that you can go backwards in time too and look for events that have occurred just to see if there's something, a library or something that piques your curiosity. So that is very helpful. I'm glad I was able to incorporate that into the genealogy blog that I author. And the last thing up here is literally a contact me link. If you do click on that, it's going to get you to the creation of an email that you can send to me directly if you need to ask me something sort of offline. Because I've seen people often leave comments that are very directly related to something they need to ask of me, but they put it as part of an original blog post and it sort of doesn't have a fit. So I've incorporated this contact me link into this blog that you can always take a look at. Okay, now the next thing of the blog itself, let me go back to the home page, click on that. And you may notice down here, here's something if you're not familiar with blogs, sometimes people simply go look at blogs on their own whenever they want to. There are options within a blog if you think there's points of interest, that how I write it, what things I put out there, that you sort of want to receive information as to when new parts go out there, new blog posts go out there. You can actually select a follow over here, and what will happen is you'll supply your email address, and from that point going forward, until you choose to discontinue, you will receive via email what I've posted as any more recent post for you to take a look at. That's a nice tool if you simply want to be fed the information without taking a look at it on your own or remembering to go take a look at it. All right, the next part of the blog that I want to spend a little bit of time on to give you some information on is what we call the right sidebar of the blog, and that's over here. And so what I want to do is I'm just going to scroll down here so you get a visual of what's there, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning of that right side, and then we're going to go over the individual component parts of what's there. So as you can see, here's recent posts, subscribe. You can also subscribe via the RSS feeds. There's an archives over here, which basically is controlled by WordPress, and it incorporates on a chronological basis, most current going to the oldest, back on a month-by-month basis, what the number of blog posts I had in that individual month. So you can see I've been blogging for quite a number of years already. Here's just a subject category of blogs. I'm sorry, of my posts according to subject categories that I've very loosely identified, most of which wind up going into program notices. But if for any reason you wanted to look at an entirety of blog posts based on any one of these categories, you can certainly do that. Next most important part of the right sidebar is the newsletter. And I'll go over that when we go back on the details. Scroll down, and then the next most important part of the blog post there is what is called the program handouts part. So let me just get back up to the very beginning, and we'll just go over a little bit more in detail on the right sidebar. Basically, the first thing I start with here, this is where I have my most current poll. And I'll be looking to start and activate a new one fairly soon. But I usually try and keep this up for about 6 to 8 weeks and have people respond to it, so that's over here. The next part of the blog on the right sidebar that could be of importance to you is Here's where you could basically do a search of the entire blog and all of the component blog posts that are there. Perhaps you're looking for something. You're looking for a name. You're looking for a title of something. You're looking for a subject of something. You're looking for where I might have mentioned the family history centers. This is the place that you would enter your search term in and get the results back. The next thing on the blog on the right sidebar I want to mention, this is what's called the subscribe to RSS notices, new posts and comments. You can do that here. It's sort of the same thing that you do in an RSS fashion, the same thing that you do down here with the follow command. This will give you information when I've made new posts. The next part of the right sidebar that I just want to make you aware of, and this is a pretty good important part, and it gives you a good bird's eye view of what have been my 20 most recent posts, starting with the first one on the top, second most recent, third most recent, fourth most recent, and again all the way down to the 20 posts. You could get to that same thing in essence if you were to just scroll down the whole list of individual posts, but using this is a nice tool for you to get sort of, again, a very short synopsis by the title that I've incorporated into it that might be of interest to you. And if there is one, you can go click right on it immediately and get to that individual post. Archives, as I mentioned earlier, this is basically most current to oldest, and it shows all within that given month, all the number of blog posts that I've made. So if you just wanted to see how many posts I did for month of May, which is 10, and you wanted to see all those posts, you can click on that and it will present you with just that. Next thing I want to just touch bases on is, again, that very loosely organized subject categories. I've sort of identified that, and my main focus can be on program notices and tips is what I like to show here. So again, clicking on any one of these will get you to all of those posts that I have identified under that subject category. The newsletters, I want to make some time to spend with you on that. These are in true chronological order. That's the way that with WordPress, how it's done. So the first one here is the very first one that I've done. Scroll down, and I want to click on this to give you an idea what it looks like. And it basically opens up as a PDF file. So this is the most recent published newsletter that's out there. The nice thing about the PDF version of the newsletter is right from the table of contents, these are hot links. If you can just look at the table of contents, wow, how did I come up with that? And what you're going to see is, according to the categories that I've identified here, again, you can quickly get to these. A lot of these, like individual ones here under short takes and potpourri, those often originate through Dick Eastman and his blog, and he's kind enough that he allows those of us who do genealogy to incorporate those things into things that we might write about, and he is given credit for that, so that's very nice that he does that, that we do that too, then incorporate that. The group categories I have, basically, I'll tell you what the subject is of our next program. I'll give you a little welcome, who we are. We identify basically the variety of surnames that people are searching for, how many participants we've had that often attend our programs. These are the Dick Eastman little subject things that he's got out there. I often incorporate the Northwest Suburban Genealogy Society, DuPage County Genealogical Society, and the Cagney Group, what some of their upcoming programs are. Again, from Dick Eastman, Under, again, loosely identified category called Internet Information, I incorporate what I thought were some key points that he incorporated in his blog. Under periodical news, when we get some of our journals for genealogy, I like to generally do like a little summary overview of that. It allows me to provide you with a table of contents of what that journal's contents are for that particular issue. And I usually will take maybe one or two of the articles and expand on them in my own words, why I think they're important, what you're going to learn from it, and so on and so forth. So this is probably a good section if you don't often get to genealogical journals and don't subscribe to any. This is where at least you can get an idea what's being written about currently out there. Here's a section of the newsletter I have. Usually if there's a book that we've added to our collection or we're going to add to our collection, or I think it's just something that was worth noting, even if we're not going to add to our collection, but maybe there's a book review out there that exists. This is a place to find it. Also a category on software and hardware. I like to put material here about lineage programs. Oftentimes Dick Eastman has a lot of information about hardware that might be of interest to genealogists. Another section I have here is called Funny Bone. If you want to get a little jovial mood, take a look at some of the things I've got in there related to genealogy. And the calendar of events, I have a few of the items here, more so I guess the items you will find in the Google Calendar. But if you get to here, this will give you a link to the Google Calendar that I have. So just to give you an idea what this looks like, again, because these are hot links, I can get you to that part over here in the newsletter that will get you directly to how it looks and what I've incorporated into the actual newsletter here. When I talked about adding material about some genealogical magazines that we get added into our collection, this is what that looks like. Again, I try and summarize what the table of contents are for that particular issue, who the author was, any other interesting parts about that journal that might be worth looking at. And then what I try and do is I'll highlight what I consider to be a good, interesting article that I thought and why I thought some of the material contained in that article could be of help to you. So this would be the place to go to take a look at that. So a lot of stuff I try and put together to help you, the reader, to help you, the researcher, be able to help yourself in your own research. So I'm just heading back to the part of the blog that had that. Last thing I do want to show you is component parts of the blog. You saw here was the program handout section, again on the right sidebar, which I'm focusing on right now. Starts back in 2009 in December. And again, I just want to let you be aware of this. What the handouts represent are, if I were to try and explain this to you, in the old days, meaning before I did the blog, I actually did a lot of paper handouts at our genealogy programs in paper format. Oftentimes they were of websites or handouts from speakers or whatever. So this has allowed me electronically to, in essence, make this a little bit more formal looking. And I usually have about 10 handouts per every month that we have a program. So what I'll do is I'll always have something about my blog. I'll have something about the Northwest Suburban Genealogy Society, the DuPage County Genealogical Society, the CAGNY group, our next upcoming genealogical program at our own library. And then here's where I'll maybe take again something from Dick Eastman. And that's what it will look like to you here as a handout. What I'll do is I'll incorporate Dick Eastman's original thing that he included in his online newsletter. And what I like to do is I like to give you more insights about what he wrote about or what he included and why I think what that topic was should be something you would consider learning about, digging deeper into, and just becoming more aware of. I do try and highlight with the yellow highlighter. So again, even if you don't want to get to the entirety of it, the highlighted part will at least focus your eyes on parts that I think are very important for you to simply be aware of. And usually the last part of the handouts is also where I do try to highlight one of the, again, oftentimes one of the component parts that Dick Eastman might have mentioned, or I'm sorry, this is the one where I'll take it often from one of the genealogical journals that our library has received. And as I'll mention, here's what the journal is, when it was dated, and then here's that write-up that I did that I often include in the newsletter. But I do want uh, readers to be able to look at the very specific points that I think I want to make about this, why that article was important, what the component parts of the article are that highlight it and make it important. So that's something that would be very worthwhile for you to look at the details of. So I'm going to head back to the blog itself. And again, what we've gone over here has been the right sidebar of my blog. So to summarize, this is my blog. You can find it at this location over here, which we also have linked within the Schaumburg Township District Library's website itself. The blog has what are called pages up here. The blog homepage is what you're looking at that shows the most current article that I've published. Could be on any variety of topics and subjects. And on the right sidebar of the blog, we've gone over the various component aspects of that blog at that point. So hopefully this has given you a little bit more of a visual if you've never taken the time to really explore the blog, because sometimes with the variety of links that are out there, you just may not want to click on them and take a look, but this way at least I can give you this overview of it. And again, the right sidebar, you've got the opportunity to take advantage of polls. You've got the opportunity to search the blog. You've got the opportunity to look at the most recent electronic newsletters that I've posted. And you've also got the opportunity to look at the most recent handouts package that I've posted. So I want to thank you for coming by, taking a look at this screencast. You can always come visit us at our own library face to face if you want. You can come and attend our programs, which we have on the second Tuesday of every month. And we would certainly look forward to meeting you, and hopefully that we can share with you some new information in the world of genealogy to help make your research a little better. So again, thank you so much for visiting me. You should be able to find this screencast on the Schaumburg Township District Library's YouTube webpage, where it will reside along with many more that I hope to create for you. Thank you again. Come back.